see a lot of people now talking about starting over at certain points, age intervals in their lives, right? Starting over at 30, starting over at 35, starting over at 40, 65 and starting over, right? Retired and starting over, single mother, newly divorced husband, college graduate, quarter life crises, whatever, starting over. And I used to be the queen of start over. My thing was if it doesn't work, keep going, start again. If I start to build this particular thing and it's not, having this certain agility that I need for it to have, I'm going to start over and I don't care. That could have been in a mindset, that could have been in an execution, that could have been in a friendship. I know I've told you about my accountability results as it relates to my trauma, but we're not going there. But a few months ago, I started thinking to myself because I was ready to start over again. And I had to ask myself, why are you starting over exactly? And how many times are you going to keep starting over? And are you really okay with you starting over this many times the older you get in life, right? Because even though age and maturity don't sync up for a lot of people, for me it does. And for me, for my blueprint in life, for my resume on my legacy, I don't want to say, well, she started over 30 million times. True enough, there are times where you have to find a rhythm, you have to find a formula that works for how you are trying to navigate certain processes, for how you are starting to navigate your emotional experiences that comes with you acquiring a new thought process. However, there comes a point where you really, really have to assess your life and go, why am I starting over? What does this mean for me? And what is it that I'm trying to do and or escape? So, really quickly, I just wanted to give you some signs, just three, that if you are starting over, right, and it's truly a navigation for you because for the past few months we've been speaking on an exodus, an exile, a spiritual communication that the spirit might be having with you to bring you outside of your comfort zone, to bring you outside of the knowing of comfortability that you have created in your life with those around you. You've created a soft wall or a hard, dedicated space of people to look after you or you to look after them, right? Always being a strong friend, always having the cape on to protect you, to keep you in a boundary so that you never explore what your limitless potential is. So, with that being said, what is starting over from a spiritual and a soul perspective, right? Because, my thing is, I'm always trying to garner some type of understanding in life as to why I do certain things and why it is or it isn't making sense. And so, what I've come to this conclusion today, and it may change tomorrow, it may change after this video, and I have some time to think within myself, like, was that some good information, some valuable information to deposit into someone's life? Essentially, you starting over, it is an energetic urging, right? It is God, the life force, saying, you have been here too long. You have outgrown your comfort zone. You have outgrown everything that you can do in this space, in this knowing, in this, this phase of your life. And now you find yourself circling in places and spaces that are making you uncomfortable because you are unafraid to grow. You are unafraid to trust what you did not grow, what you did not develop, territory that you did not trailblaze yet. You know what I mean? And so, using that analogy, sometimes when we're going into the darkness of the forest and we can't see a path, sometimes we get scared. And there are others of us that are like, well, damn, I did it before. I can do it again. So let me just give you three signs, right? If you're like, I really think that I am at a place where I am truly starting over. How do I know this is not just me outrunning myself? How do I know this is not me making excuses? How do I know that this is something that I'm really called to do, to start over and to begin again? I definitely think that I can assist you. And I'm sure that there can be a plethora of other mentionables added. But again, this is just my three came to my spirit and I wanted to share this with you, okay? So just now, as I was recording, Spirit said, "Don't tell them, don't tell them it's starting over. Tell them it is beginning anew." And that's where your intimidation lies. This trepidation that you have, this nervousness, is not that necessarily you're starting over, because with starting over, you find yourself knowing what to do, right? And that's part of the control. That's what you like. You can start over because you're like, okay, if I knock down myself from this place, I already know who to talk to. I already know where I need to, where my errors are. You know what I mean? And so I can just start from that place of origin. Spirit said, but when you're beginning anew, you don't have anything. You don't even know anyone in a new territory. And so that's where you have to develop your faith. That's where you have to develop your intuition. That's where you have to get to know God in the secret place, and not just God, where you really have to know you, because especially at a certain age we get set in our ways and we're like, well, I know everything about me. There's nothing else to know. But Spirit said, in order for you to continue to stretch, you have to realize that you have to relinquish your control. You have to let go of your control of what it is you think the ultimate template for your life is supposed to be, right? We don't know the final end all be all of who we are, what our legacy is, what it's supposed to demonstrate. All we can do is make strides toward a higher living by choosing to vibrate higher, by choosing to choose higher for ourselves, and hope that at the end result of all the steps that we've made, the accumulation of all these calculations of who we are, then it will have some sort of final result that says, oh, that was a pretty decent human with a good soul. Maybe. So yeah, Spirit is saying it's not just you starting over. It's the issue that lies within your control issues and your inability to release yourself, is because you know that it is now time for you to begin anew. Not again, but anew. A new season, a fresh start, new things, new ideas, new everything. And so here are the three ways, or the three indicators, that it is time for you to start over and that you're not losing your marbles, so to speak. You know what I mean? It's time for you to do this. It's time for you to take a leap into the unknown, into the unbound, to be limitless and be your authentic self. And the first way that you can definitely tell that that is occurring is if you find yourself in a state or phase of rumination, or you're ruminating. Ruminating is when you are constantly playing thoughts back in your mind and you are going over every little thing meticulously, every step you've ever made in your life, what that led you to, what decision that made for you, how that interrupted your life, how that took you off course and off balance, and the conversations that you had that hurt your feelings. Or if you find yourself in your healing phase, you're like, wow, I really said some things and I did some things to other people that really, really hurt them, right? And so you find yourself replaying over and over again, punishing yourself for the things that were already done in the past, whether they were negatively or positively an effect to you or from you. You will find yourself getting lost. I'm sorry, not positively, but negatively affecting you in a way that you can't escape your thoughts. So if you find yourself like, oh my God, what am I going to do about what I did? Why is this, bothering me now? That is definitely a key indicator that you need to broaden your horizons, that you need to expand your thought processes, and that it's time for you to do some inner healing so that when you ascend to another level, to your next level, that you can go with a fresh mind. You can't go into another level, a higher level of yourself with the same imprisoned thoughts. You've got to release yourself. So that's one indicator. The second indicator that it is indeed time for you to start anew is you find yourself in discontentment and or boredom with who you are and where you are, quite frankly, right? And so it doesn't matter how accomplished you are or the things you did not accomplish or see into full succession. Sometimes, no matter how mundane your life or how beautiful and magical, there comes a point where you're just like, but I want to do more. But what else is there to explore? Do I have to do this every single day? Am I going to meet the same people and us have the same, meet up places and spaces every week, every month, all the time? Listen, I understand that routines and habits are practices of the discipline, and I am not knocking it. What I am saying though is when you feel within yourself this inkling, this urging that says move, and you're looking to start over or begin again, and you don't know where you're going to find a sign to reinforce this urging, look at where you are. Are you finding yourself a robotic human? Are you functioning like Rosie from the Jetsons? If she overworked herself, then her bolts would start popping everywhere. She would start smoking. You'd just be like, God dang, Rosie, calm down. So I'm telling you, Rosie, calm down. Look at where you are. Are you in burnout or exhaustion or just boredom because you've done this all already? You've done this all already. No matter what the all is, you're like, there has to be more. There has to be more than this. There has to be something else that I can do to explore who I am. So I'm letting you know that if you do, yes, find discontentment, you know you're healthy mentally and emotionally, right? You're not in any sort of depression. You don't have any chemical imbalances that may be, afflicting your day-to-day activities and your day-to-day thought processes. You're just like, I'm done with this. That is an indicator that it is most definitely time for you to step up in your journey in life and ascend higher to start anew. So, the third and last indicator that I'm going to share with you when it's time for you to start anew. Now, listen, I know that we are all living in some type of moody emotional phase right now in humanity. Okay, I get it. And I know that women sometimes can over exaggerate ourselves a little bit. I'm not going to rat out the sisterhood, but there are times when we find ourselves irritable by other human beings, irritable with conversation, irritable with why are you doing that? Why are you speaking like that? Why? Just everything is and you know it's somebody that you love. It's your circle of friends, your people, your knowing, your fraternal, whatever. And it's just like, I love these people. What's happening? You have outgrown conversations with the familiar. Now, I'm not telling you that, you need to leave your friends, you need to leave your sororities or whatever. What I am saying, though, it may be time for you to expand your social horizons. And a lot of times, especially as we get older, and, if you have a group of friends that you grew up with, if you're from the hood or you went to college together, you just sort of nurture that relationship, that group, and you just go through life changes together. But sometimes you realize that, oh my God, we are growing apart. And it could literally be that both of you are being called to grow, and that ascension again is causing you to have a split in your relationship, or you'll find that, okay, one of us is growing and the other is not. And let's just be very honest. Let's not live in our ego where we're like, I'm always the one growing, because I can speak for me personally. There have been times where I have seen that because I was stuck in my own emotional rumination process, that there were people that were outgrowing me. And I realized, like, God damn, why do I have to be the one that has the stomach grow? Like, Sometimes you want to, it's not cute. It's not sexy when you're not growing and developing, right? And so sometimes you do have to take that L in life where you're like, I guess there is a lesson that I have not matured in, and I'm going to keep cycling it until it's time to grow. So if you find yourself in irritability with who you know, irritability with conversation, irritability with the familiar and who you love, that is definitely an indicator that it's time for you to reconnect, not only with yourself, but reconnect with life and see where it is that you are now being led. Sometimes we love what we've developed and cultured with our circles, that we just weather those storms, you know what I mean? And we're just like, that's just that person. But then there are times when you realize, especially as you mature in wisdom, that you don't know everybody that knows it all. And sometimes what you've been praying for or where you are needed to go requires you to meet a new network of people that have a new set of knowledge, skills, or skill sets that can be an asset to where you're going, and likewise you to them, in order for you to culture and develop your soul. Remember, this earth is a learning ground. They don't teach us anymore, but older schools, ancient schools of thought have always taught that the earth is a marketplace school, and you're here to exchange information and knowledge. So that is for the maturation of your soul and whatever is next after this. So you figure, as you continue to pray and then the spirit makes intercession or prayer for you, there are certain things that you don't know, and there are certain people that you need to be connected to. And when you find yourself being drawn tired to what you knew, that is the perfect time for someone to come in and provide medicine for you and to teach you something that you didn't know you needed. And then you'll see, as you grow in this newness of yourself, this new era of yourself, like, man, if I hadn't met this person, then I wouldn't have got this information. Then this triggered the long lost prayer that I had about this, and this was on my vision board. Da, da, da. And you just see how spirit can work. But if you find yourself ruminating, if you find yourself in discontentment and boredom, if you find yourself irritable by the familiar, it is time for you to start anew. These are key indicators. And also, a great way for you to just really know, like, those three aside, it's the bonus kicker. This could have been the whole video. Thanks for sticking in with me. If you just find yourself saying, is this it? Like, is this it for life? Is this it for me? Is this it? Have I done enough? Is, like, the weight of my life, has that been the full magnitude of my purpose? Because sometimes you just find yourself accomplishing so much or not having accomplished enough, and you're just like, but what do I do? Am I about to die? Really, people get faced with their own mortality, my apologies. People get faced with their own mortality when they don't feel that they have done an adequate enough job with their purpose. And that is your soul saying, I have your attention. Now we can elevate together. Now I can shift you a little higher. Now I can raise your vibration. Now you can hold more and expand more in your consciousness. Because when you come to the point where you find yourself at any type of death, whether it's a spiritual one, a physical one, a psychological, ego death, that is when you have outgrown your cycle. That's when it's time for you to now accelerate forward in your purpose. And you have to lean into that feeling, because sometimes you can feel destitute, like you can feel really deprived of something. You can feel, a lack of fulfillment in your soul. And all you're trying to do constantly is just get back to a place of joy. And that's why a lot of people want to start over, because they find that they are lacking joy. If you want to know if it's time for you to start anew, I pray that these indicators have helped you. And get on track with what your soul is saying. Assess and audit where you are. Why are you here? Is this enough? And what do you need to do to move forward?